Welcome back to Infinite Geek Talk, an ongoing conversation between your hosts, former DC Comics editor and owner of Infinite Heroes, Comics, Cards, and Collectibles in Watertown, Connecticut, Paul Santos, who is joined by owner of Rat's Nest Studios and lifelong student of the illustrated word, Keith Field. Let's listen in.
Hello, Paul. How are you this rainy day?
My yawn. Yawn.
I thought it would be refreshing to open in such a just stark and real world sort of melt in, but then remembering that you kind of had a gloomy and miserable day.
Yeah.
This wasn't the day to start in such a conventional fashion.
No, don't want to pull the curtain back too much, but yeah.
Let's just back to the nerdery. It's so much more comfortable.
Yes.
Like a smelly Afghan. Paul, how are you enjoying this House of the Dragon thing?
I'm liking it. I'm liking it pretty good.
Me too, surprisingly.
Yeah, it's not as good as Game of Thrones season 1, which I would argue
as we obviously that was one of those just cultural flashpoints. Everything, just the time was right. Everything worked. It was very smart. It was very nifty. It was all new and good. And I would offer that Game of Thrones, as I suggested, I think last episode or maybe before, was the bee's knees, man. It's easy to just remember the hurt from an end that through your mindless consumption of all things you all made happen. There, I blamed you for the problems with Game of Thrones.
Oh, I'm not going to go that far.
No, I'm just kidding. Obviously, the last season to 2 seasons, arguably, we're not the same bill of goods we got sold at the onset.
A lot of people like the harp on the second to last season not being as good.
No, I don't
think it's terrible.
No, me neither.
I think that last season
there's mistakes.
Right.
There's moments that piss me off. There are visuals that feel like cheap, tawdry video game pulls, man.
Yeah.
But that's not enough for me to dismiss it all.
No, the last season.
Last season, though.
There's tons of stuff.
A lot of
stuff.
I won't give you an inch. It's all garbajo.
Yeah, they did a lot of screw-ups.
And it's and it's story like we intoned when last we spoke of this. You talk about the last season, you're not talking about what went on in the last season. You almost immediately find yourself a talking head talking about the industry and the behind the scenes.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they ruined their careers, which is great because hopefully they'll never touch another piece of art ever again.
Garbage people.
The executive producers.
I think it's marvelous. Well, the story, through the thin of it, there's different levels, is ultimately you had some greedy individuals who thought they were getting the next wave of Star Wars movies to work on. And could taste that Star Wars bank.
Well, there was other problems. They had was going to film a show, an alternate history show, if the South had won the Civil War. They had a third show on Netflix that was not, nothing was ever released on it, or if it was very little.
Yeah.
But this show,
bumper crop of opportunities, all high ticket stuff, and where did it all lead? To you breaking my heart with a bad season of a good show.
Yeah.
So obviously, it was slow to even give a raised eyebrow to this new thing, House of the Dragon there. But as I said before, I'm a fair weather fan at best of the source material. So to me, it's just a question of, is this a cool fantasy adventure story? And for me, it is.
Yeah.
And it specifically takes place on a scale that I enjoy in fantasy storytelling. The idea that we have had multiple episodes dealing with one of the many threats de politique in the form of a character named the Crab Feeder.
Right.
That's very exciting to me.
Right.
That's the scale and that you bring in a dragon to deal with. So good. Nautical horror. So far so good. I really dig it. I dig the whole thing. I think Proto-Khaleesi is the bee's knees, and so far so good.
Yeah, I know a little bit more probably about it than you do this story.
I think a lot more, yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what they do. There's some silly 2022 era decisions that were made that narratively is going to make the entire show kind of laughable.
Beyond casting, what else?
So the show, a lot of the story is based on Hereditary, and if this kid looks like this kid or is from the right family. That's really hard to do when you have an African American bloodline. You know what I mean? It's gonna be very silly, and I don't know how they're gonna.
Someone say that that fella's change of race could potentially become a plot issue later. This is obviously what they were talking about.
It's going to be very, very dumb if they don't change.
I suggest that the choice of headgear. I mean, that mop they've put on that man's head. I don't understand that hairdo, man.
No, all the black people in this show, their poor wigs they've given them are terrible.
I don't get it. They look gross.
They're very
mop heads.
It's not
weird.
It's not very cool.
It's not flattering.
No.
Get those things off your heads, all of you, everyone. No one should have a mop on their head. If you're on that show, take off your wig. Stand tall and proud.
What's also weird is that
with bald Keith.
They're also the only house that's been race swapped. So like, just race swap the other houses because it looks weird. It's like a.
You know what? Maybe we never bring it up and we just continue on.
Well, like I said, it's gonna be.
And it strikes a strange new blow for the world.
It's gonna be weird when the parentage storylines come out because I don't know how they're gonna address it.
They find a blue baby. And then that's how you deal with it.
Right.
Then we have officially crossed into some bold new world.
Well, that's Marvel. They have the Kree are blue.
Yes.
And some of the Atlanteans might be.
And speaking of Pepe Larrigo's people, there's been another She-Hulk since last we have gathered, hasn't there? And I believe best episode ever.
No.
Are words that at least one lying liar has used as clickbait somewhere.
Yeah,
because man, that show was
really
an attack.
Bad. It's really bad. And again, for me, you can like whatever you want, and but when you can't say something is like groundbreaking or amazing when it's not. You could like the bullshit that is She-Hulk, but like you can't sit there and say that it's the best comic adaptation
you can't if you're a lying liar.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you the truth that I believed in enough that I spake it upon a previous episode, not unlike the word spake. And that is that my friend, editor, and author, Little Paulito Paulston, has provided me with the finest pitch I've ever heard for the Wrecking Crew. So the moment at which I would see them realized as part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe is an important one to me. And I've only just heard the pitch. It's not even my pitch. Hey, Paul, do you think they brought honor to the spirit of those poor characters?
No, and the excuses have already started where they're saying Marvel Studios, not fans, are already saying they're not the Wreckers, they're not the Wrecking Crew.
Okay, so yeah, the Wrecking Crew are introduced.
Right.
We even get one of them introduced by name, and it's not problematic at all.
Right.
Go on, Paul.
So they're already saying this is not the Wrecking Crew. It's just a bunch of kids or mercenary or whatever the hell they're using as their excuses.
Can we say that about your Taskmaster too? Because I'm down with that.
I mean, technically.
How about the Ghost? How about that Elias Starr? Because I didn't feel he really brought honor to the Egghead franchise. How about that, Marvel?
Yeah,
can I do those things?
I'm
bastard people.
I don't think.
How dare you?
I think She-Hulk though won't go the way of
that Wrecking Crew.
Won't go the way of Ms. Marvel because it's too sitcom-y, I guess is the word I'm worried. Maybe I could be wrong. And they've already promised you Daredevil.
Yeah.
They've promised.
And we know that the show is just the back door to a stinger that gets two of the members on the Thunderbolts.
We're thinking that, yeah.
It's potential. Well, no, it's not a potential spoiler. It just seems to be indicating that's the way we're going.
You've seen the first 3 episodes, yeah. No, we don't know anything.
Word on the street is that it's just about Abomination and Titania joining the Thunderbolts.
Oh, no, but she might be canceled. Did you not see that?
Oh, is there a problem?
Yeah, the actress. Man, blanking. I guess people just looked this up on their own. She said something that immediately got the SJW crowds to be like,
"Is this like
this
happened today?
This just happened like this weekend."
You silly girl! I'm a big fan of hers. I love other stuff she's done. I don't know what the hell's happening with this Titania foolishness.
She was already on thin ice though with Disney because didn't
she like speak in the defense of the fans who were like, "Yeah, they have cast me weird, and I don't understand what's happening."
So yeah, she said she didn't realize the character was white. That she wouldn't have taken the job if that was the case because it's a new. Much people, all you people are going to be on the wrong side of history in 5 years. Minority creators want to use new characters, not creating, being given these like Tolkien characters.
Sure.
And she's been pretty vocal about like I would have taken this. Blah, blah, I would have played it different.
I knew that had somehow crept into her narrative, but I didn't realize that. It
but
was
now she
quite
said,
so intense.
But she said something. I don't know, conservative-y maybe. I don't know that they're trying to cancel her.
Poor
so she might be out.
I'm sorry that's happening to you, my dear girl. If only whoever played Egghead was so resolute, I'd be giving him a shout out too.
And people are also acting like everybody else who's danced in a Marvel movie, everyone was fine with. I'm here to tell you they were not. One of the reasons I don't like Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, is because Star-Lord defeats Ronan by dancing, and Ronan looks at him like an idiot and goes, "What are you doing?" When you could clearly...
He just bought a little time, Paul.
But it's stupid.
See,
it's
very
stupid.
This is when my heart breaks, because I realize that your heart is hard against such loving humors,
Paul. That's not how you end narratives. That's your ending of a movie. That's a movie that we just found out that Roland commits a genocide, a fanatical zealot genocidal maniac. And the way you beat him is by dancing.
Would it help if you thought of it as like a video game, and the dance is a taunt?
No,
it's just an attack off a bar. He used taunt.
No.
Not even if it was one of those like Final Fantasy things of taunt deals 9,999 points of damage.
This is a story.
The numbers bounce.
This isn't a
Fine, Paul.
This is why
I'm trying to help you.
This is why Scorsese talks shit about comic book movies.
And he's right.
This is why. It's because when everybody gets, and I agree.
Welcome back to Keith's side of history.
No, and I agree with the fans, but like the reason Scorsese and James Cameron and whoever else makes criticisms is because the movies are not like the writing is not at that level. The productions
they're not following the rules of movies. They're creating an alternate form of entertainment, and it's a perfectly lovely form of entertainment for those who enjoy it. But I'm not willing to put it on the same level that I do the Pelican Brief.
Well,
or Brewster's Millions.
Yeah, but our friends have...
Those are more real to me.
But our friends at DC do a better job doing that.
We got like Joker. I mean, whether I loved it or not, Dark Knight.
The first Wonder Woman
Suicide Squad #2, Electric Boogaloo. I'll even put that there. I love that movie.
Which one?
Suicide Squad.
Oh,
the sequel.
That was very good. Yeah, that was very good.
That's what I'm saying. Even as far as superhero trash goes, they make good movies that just happens to be superhero
I'm
trash.
glad you brought that up. Suicide Squad and Peacemaker are comedic.
Genius.
But they have narrative. Their stories make sense.
Yep.
There's not a weird dance-off that all of a sudden ends the entire...
They're real movies,
stupid.
even in the face of comedy.
Right.
Welcome to Keith Field's House of Understanding, Paul.
And She-Hulk, like I said, the first 2 episodes I thought were very non-offensive. But this third one was
plummet.
It's
good faith destroyed.
It's like seeing that if you were a teacher and you saw that C student all of a sudden take a huge F.
Paul, what was my biggest gripe? Go ahead and share it with the people. You have to know.
The twerking at the end? I don't know.
It was the lack of UFO.
Oh, I should have known.
No point in the episode was I... Now, make no mistake. UFO was mentioned. She brings up the UFO.
Oh, yeah, she did. Yeah.
However, we do not have visual confirmation or even the suggestion of the presence of UFO, other than the possibility that any one of the different plot elements that went on during the course of said episode may have been at the secret insistence or control of UFO from a distance. No, there's no verifiable UFO. So right off the bat, that's strike 1 and 2, as far as I was concerned. Strike 3 is just the collective fact of, yeah, man, bad episode.
It was really bad. The courtroom stuff was bad. The Abomination parole hearing was ridiculous. Again, I don't.
Buffoonishly cartoonish.
It's very, very cartoonish.
Man walks through a hole in the sky, drops a few lines.
I've watched enough Law and Order shows.
He's told he belongs in jail. He flees the interview.
Yeah, I thought that was funny, but
yeah, it's a chuckle. But by the same token, none of that would have been admissible. There would have been.
Again,
but I don't even want to go there. It was a cartoon.
Abomination is still in prison. Yeah, so the only proof you have of him fighting in this underground tournament is a cell phone video. Mm-hmm. He's still in his cell. Jennifer Walters is his lawyer. All she has to say is like, "Well, my client never left. He's still here." Boom, you're done. That's it. You drop the mic.
We'd like you to come work for Landau, Luckman, and Lake.
Well, that's the other problem. Are there not any government organizations anymore?
Just damage control.
Damage control is the only one, you know.
They're building concentration camps somewhere, apparently, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The greatest network of evil and cruelty known to man.
That's where all the mutants are.
Maybe.
They're in damage control.
Won't you like
camps.
that? Won't you like when your X-Men movie comes out and they're fighting damage frigging control because, why? Reasons? Stupid
damage
Marvel.
Damage control is one of these things where, like, I saw Spider-Man No Way Home like 3 times in theaters with 3 different groups of people.
Loved it.
All 3 of them were getting noticeably audibly agitated at the way damage control was treating 2 of my friends were both like, and 2 of my friends were like, they're under 18. What? Like, this isn't real. Like, this is stupid. Like, you know. And don't at me about it's the Marvel Universe. It's 2022. The internet would not allow for underage children to be questioned by a government agency. And then instead of getting a cool Matt Murdock moment, who comes in and says this is over, it's just a hard cut to them being in Aunt May's kitchen saying, "Oh, everything's fine now." It's stupid.
Yeah, it wasn't but it didn't matter because what a gift of a movie. But yes, let us not be derailed from the lad's point.
But She-Hulk episode
She-Hulk
4.
is smell, and ultimately, let's take those masters. Long story short, shoot them into the sun. Thank you.
You talking about Thunderbolts?
No, She-Hulk. No, I was just saying She-Hulk is anything. It's over. But if we do want to talk about Thunderbolts, yes, I kind of immediately jumped into it, but I guess I was wrong too. The fact is, we've announced who the Thunderbolts will be.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't. Marvel has apparently. Yeah.
Yes, that list included Titania and the Abomination.
Correct.
And that is why I say the whole purpose of this threadbare cartoon excuse of a show is just so that we can have an after-series stinger in which we see the 2 of them recruited to the Thunderbolts, Titania and the Abomination.
Now, do you think you might get a whole episode like with Kang and Loki?
I think it'll be a stinger. I think my prediction, which I gave to, and I will bore anyone who is at the store this weekend with once again, is that the shape-shifting Norse character we saw in the last episode was introduced not just for a silly courtroom Phoenix Wright style little adventurette. It was to introduce the idea of this wacky shapeshifter. I think we'll see her as the employer of the wrecking crew. Man, they were great. Who are trying to get a blood sample from She-Hulk. She'll have failed to get that blood sample in the last episode, and so consent to go with the Abomination instead, because we'll learn that shapeshifter is in fact Val, or Elaine from Seinfeld, as I prefer to call her, who is looking to recruit the both of them for the Thunderbolts team. This will be because, of course, she is a Skrull and can naturally shapeshift and use that ability. Although she might use a hologram as the excuse, it'll be her normal Skrull shapeshifting ability, I assure you. This is Keith calling it a mile away.
You think
this is Vinny's Lock of the Week.
If she is the Skrull Queen, do you think Marvel's really proud of themselves, being like, "Oh, they'll never guess"?
Well,
they'll never guess.
I guess Ego the Living Planet so far ahead of the release of that movie. I've always followed James Gunn, so he put up, he said, guys, we got our first storyboards back. Ain't nobody going to guess what this is. And he put up the storyboards. And I said, I think it's a trench on the surface of Ego, the living planet. And that is their ship streaking through the trench as it refills itself.
He didn't block you.
I didn't get a single response to it. No likes, no dislikes, no acknowledgement. It just sort of sat there. And that was it. The post stayed up, and hundreds of people responded after me. So either no one saw that correct guess long moons beforehand.
Right.
Or it suffered a secret kind of freeze that leaves you on a Facebook page, but somehow just causes not a ripple.
Right.
A vestigial posting that I said, well, just no one must love me. Very well. I'll move on. Either way, it's there to be seen. I called you a damn fool movie because ain't nothing any of you can do I can't see coming a mile away.
Well,
so swear I before the Vashanti.
I really hope that
Thunderbolts.
forget about the She-Hulk for a second. Is that I hope
Easily
Dr.
done.
Doom's at the end of this Wakanda Forever movie.
Once again, we will
really hope.
There's no way I see it. Pepe and the new Panther shake hands.
I am sorry that I was manipulated into this battle, Senor.
And there's a handshake.
Right.
And so we see a gauntleted hand crush a goblet in rage as we realize Doom
Or
initiated
something.
It's something along those lines. Do I want more than that? Of course. Wouldn't it be great to have more than that? But you're at least going to get that because that's the only reason anyone's going to stay once the funeral footage is ended.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very curious how this movie does financially.
Looks like it's going to be so fun.
I'm saying 30 minutes.
Upbeat.
I'm saying 30 minutes for the funeral.
30
First
minutes?
30 minutes.
I don't know, man. I'm thinking a half split. I'm thinking we
mean an hour and an hour?
I'm thinking we get the
Holy
equivalent.
cow.
I think the first act and a half are funeral heavy, man.
Holy crap.
I think we go into the funeral as a switch point on the second act.
Wow.
They're going to try to subvert some expectation, go long, because that's how much they need the funeral to keep your ass in that seat. And that's disgusting to me, but I hope they prove me wrong. I hope they're not soulless monsters who are trading on the promise of sorrow. No.
What do you think an appropriate length of time would be?
I think we begin with an opening montage of power and poetry. I'm not saying I'm the man to create it, but whatever aspect of this movie needs to be a death tribute, I think it is something that is almost more literally a tribute to the passing of an actor. That's how you open the film on a long open.
I'm actually with you on that one. Do like a
we see the face of Chadwick Boseman. There's never a time we're not going to understand that he led this character into a nation's heart. So you honor that the way it deserves to be honored in a real-world contract between the audience and the film. The movie picks up, you know who we see? King T'Challa of Wakanda. That's how Keith tells his movie. That's how Keith honors a nation who apparently have been looking for a hero, all right? You don't take it away from them. You don't replace it on the gate. No. We continue T'Challa's narrative.
Oh, yeah, no, but that's not happening, unfortunately.
I understand that's not happening. Yeah. So, if your question to me is, how do you tell the movie in which he dies? Well, I don't necessarily know that I can answer that at this stage, but spiritual balance of mourning versus activity, no. It stays to the opening credits. It takes up none of my movie.
Yeah.
My movie is about Pepe Larrigo attacking my nation, because apparently that's the movie we're going to be telling. Whatever the hell the movie's going to be, it's that movie and nothing else. It's not an action figure funeral that's going to stretch for an act and a half. I really do think they're going to go more than an act because they're going to be too scared to pivot off of funerary martyrdom. It needs to be at least half the movie. I think we'll see Manape alpha it up. I think you're going to see Shuri obviously man it up and what's her face with the spear.
Oh, and that and Riri.
The head of the warrior women.
I don't remember her name.
I don't know. I'm supposed to know her name though because she shows up in every Marvel book these days. Kagari. That feels like a name.
I mean, it's Michonne from Walking Dead, but that's what I call her.
I call her Spearsy Von Bald, and you know that's fine. That she's one of the main characters in my Fortnite comic. Anywho, that's what's going to happen. They're going to come off that hard, and we're going to fight Pepe, and so they owe me at least a suggestion of a Doctor Doom. There.
And then this week is D23, so we might get a whole boatload of reveals.
No, I was talking with one of our sweet listeners on Sunday evening, as a matter of fact, about this very point, about D23. Like, well, what do you think they're going to
I know what you're talking
be
about.
chatting about? And I said, I you know what I think you'll hear? I think you'll hear some assurances that our friend Elizabeth Olsen will be heading back to the Marvel Cinematic Universe very soon. And I watched that face light up like it was Christmas morning.
Right.
Because that's what I hear. I hear tells that some sort of announcement about the Scarlet Witch is anticipated.
Oh, really?
That is, and I thought that was kind of hilarious and appropriate. At least a soft suggestion that there might be some Wanda-centric news.
Well, they've got to start announcing. I mean, for FF, I know the director is locked in, and it's nobody I really care about.
What drum do I think needs to be hit hardest?
Here's the cast of FF.
Here's the cast of FF.
Yeah, I agree.
Paul and I were talking about it actually the other day, weren't we? I forgot we had that chat, and that was my upswing. Was just that. Was like, I don't know from here or there, but you got to tell us who the FF are going to be.
Yeah,
that's the big job.
And I don't know if that's going to happen. It's also a 3-day event, which I swear I thought it was only Friday, Saturday, Sunday back in the day.
Ultimately, I think that it used to just be a 1-2 punch. That it was day one was when you'd have like the casual fans. Like there were 2 different ranks of D23 hood.
Right.
I don't know this for sure. Look to those Disney people on the interwebs for that stuff.
I don't know either.
Go to your defunct lands. They know this sort of thing. But I know that there used to be different scales of like ownership of the level of fandom and involvement that gets you to D23. So I think it was a 2-day, and there was like the grade A, grade B, B being the more exclusive. So on A day, you'd hear things like, "We're doubling down in the Muppets this year." The things that might not come true.
Right.
And then the next day you'd get things like, "Here are the children of Thanos."
Right.
I remember that was a specific year.
Right.
So now I think they've extended it even more to show you just how little exclusivity really means to any narrative.
Because I know
because even there's a level of marketability toward, right?
Right, yeah. I mean, they do like Marvel properties.
Have the content creators in.
Lucasfilm creators.
The Marvel stuff.
The
cartoons.
Oh, the remake stuff. Because they're really big.
Certain merchandising. The video games.
Yeah. I'm just curious what they're going to do. I would imagine someone said in indie...
J. Scott Campbell's going to make you a bunch of crazy prints over the course of a few years.
Longer...
I know, but that was the sort of thing that got announced at D23. To D23 on the A level of entry, the merchandise.
I saw the big rumors, Indiana Jones teaser. And maybe a title, because we still don't know the title of this movie.
What Jones, and I'm very sad inside.
I don't know what this is.
Indiana Jones, and we all owe you an apology. I don't know. What are they going to say or do or show me that's going to make me feel anything but sad about the forthcoming or the upcoming Indiana Jones
The only thing I'd say this movie is that they somehow had secretly filmed half a movie in the 90s. And then,
you've done it again. And that is exactly how they can save it. Beyond that, I don't want to hear a thing about it.
They cut in old Harrison Ford with this, 90s print. And then the lady from Fleabag, who I always forget her name. And I think she's a really good writer. I just don't think she's that great in the things she's in.
You have me at a disadvantage. These are properties with a lady from Fleabag.
It's a British show. It's not a sitcom.
With the eyes.
Yeah, she's tall.
She has interesting eyes.
Yes. She's a voice.
Madam, if we meet one day, I'd like to point out that when I knew nothing about you or the body of your career, the first thing I knew of you were your striking eyes. And now, based on that, yes, that actress, I am familiar with.
So
she is beloved. So she's a ribald and hilarious woman. I've seen her on different shows.
She's a she's more of a. She's a writer, director, creative who was very fortunate enough to have be put in acting. Where she's actually pretty good, but I like her better behind the camera. I know that sounds terrible, but
and I will point out again, everything I've said is beautiful in comparison to what Paul has said.
Right.
He's the one who's more familiar with your career.
And there's also this like
we
weird,
can still marry.
There's also this weird rumor that she's taking over for Indy, which I don't think that's.
Where did that come from?
That
sweet, sweet angel I may one day marry.
Who knows?
Wait a minute. Wasn't because I know she is in the stuff that I have seen here or there. Wasn't she in a Bourne movie? Or some spy movie?
I don't know.
I think she was.
Yeah.
So maybe because she was in some spy movie, that's how limited and blunted and idiotic these things do.
We'll find out.
Happen from time to time.
In a few days, we'll
Certainly
find out.
She's not going to be Indiana Jones. Who was the last Indiana Jones
Shia LaBeouf.
Of female make that I can remember from the world of adultery? There was a softcore business. Doesn't matter. I suppose Shia's like a pretty...
Now, there's also there's rumors of him not even
I say bring him in. I say don't ignore it.
They won't be. I heard they won't even be mentioning him.
See, that hurts me. I need it mentioned. The same reason that I needed them to mention the events of the Game of Thrones last season in that first episode of the House of the Dragon. You have to mention the bad things.
Did you see the trailer for next week, though? I'm a little bit worried.
Well,
where they just go full on. We're tying this show to the Game of Thrones. I'm like,
it can't be worse than anything I saw in that Rings of Power show.
Oh, I didn't.
Which up until this moment, I forgot that I'd seen it. I would like to point out to any curious individuals listening. Hi, Keith Charles Field here. I am sad to learn that I am just enough out of the loop of the tides of popular culture that and here we purport ourselves to be pretty damn hip to the tides of popular culture, that I actually didn't realize that this ghastly Amazon Prime thing that claims to have something to do with Lord of the Rings, I didn't know that it has been politicized. I honestly did not.
Oh, wow.
I should have known.
Under a rock?
I should have known because, of course, it has to do with popular culture. I should have known that because if anything has to do with popular culture, then it fell upon me to know that it somehow is one of the forums for which mankind's soul is being fought upon. So I'm sorry that wasn't my immediate reaction. Because as soon as I put up my honest opinion of this thing on social media, I could immediately see a circling of magical Pegasi, and on their back, worried white knights. So my sweet white knights, be rest assured, I immediately took down the posting. I said, whoops, didn't realize it. Whoop, I'm not here for that.
Oh, did you really get I didn't see that.
Immediate circling. I'm not going to say I was attacked, but I could immediately see what was happening. It was enough that it then alerted me to, oh, geez, I'm just being an old man. I didn't realize, of course, this thing is a forum. So I took it down. I'm not here to engage in that fight. But I will, now having brought it up, bring it up. And to say, I legitimately hated every moment of what I watched. I gave them both the episodes. Boring? No, that's not the way I'll attack it. A great man once told me that he hated things that were based on, horror movies in which the core threat or ideal or plot device was a ghost.
Oh, yeah.
And when I said, well, why? What is it about ghosts specifically? I'm fascinated. He's like, yeah, they're dumb. You know what? This stupid show is dumb.
Yeah.
And that's really all I should have to say. If you as a people want to know more, if you want to know my problems with the frumpa-dumpa stupid hobbits they introduce, or all the crap with Galadriel, yeah, I'll tell you. But you know what? I don't feel like hearing myself say it. And I don't want to be accused of being on the wrong side of history. Because apparently NPR has decided it's very important whether or not you like this show. So let me instead say, hi, Keith Charles Field. Here to tell you I didn't particularly care for this show, and I thought it was a piece of baby trash garbage. And it embarrassed me as a finished product. I think that it preys on the most juvenile aspects of its audience. And the archetypes that it's crafting, if I'm reading anything in any way accurate as of 2 episodes in, as of 2 hours into this thing, are just so hackneyed. And so much, again, the product of this trust fund millennial creative pool I'm supposed to sit back in good humor and grin at as it holds all gates shut, then I shall.
Yeah, I've not watched. I have not.
No.
I've not watched it, so I won't be watching it.
No.
I'm a huge.
Suffice to say, smelled.
Yeah.
Smelled bad. Move on.
Apparently, Amazon is already getting accused of shenanigans from industry like Nielsen and I think Deadline or someone.
For the fake assurances.
They're like it didn't get 25 million views. They're counting both episodes.
Yeah,
they're combining the views of both episodes. Mm-hmm. So for layman's terms,
again, shenanigans that are the result of living in the algorithm age. You know what? I'm willing to meet them halfway. That's what men do. Paul, I'm here to tell you that if we want to dismantle any algorithm that's been allowed an undue voice over the sorts of entertainment that are getting circulated, controlled, or created, I say dismantle them all. Yep, I'll join that team.
Yeah, I'm not against that.
Yep,
but
Team Humanity.
So basically, they said they had 25 million views on the first day. They're including, so it'd be like 12 million views from, 13 million views from episode 1, 12 million from episode 2. They did not get 25 million in like different views. And also,
so you're basically tripling your numbers,
right? And they're also
algorithm shenanigans.
And also, I'm not sure about this, but that's not the highest number ever for a streaming show. Like 25.
Is that a claim?
No one's making that claim.
Right,
but
good.
That's why they're like, I think like Stranger Things.
You're saying even that is an effort to catch up to last,
right? So
spiritually,
they are spending 65 or 80 million an episode. Yeah. And this thing is going to bomb. And I found...
and make no mistake, why are we even looking at it? Well, it's a, obviously it's a true north of the genre for a lot of the, folks out there, and it's very important to our personal narratives to some degree. But just, when it comes down to it, I will acknowledge, though, in the defense of sweet Amazon, who has sold me so much over the years, because, you have to defend your store, that Amazon does make a lot of these commercials as entertainment, a lot of these little movie efforts these days. I mean, Amazon Studios. And I will say that in terms of producing film, 1 out of every 10 projects even registers on my radar. And of those projects, they've been all right. This is the worst of the genre stuff I've encountered. But I also haven't watched that Chris Pratt thing about time travel. I apologize up front. What's your feeling toward what Amazon's been making? Because I'll say for myself, Suspiria can go to hell. There's a lot I liked in the new Suspiria, but when it comes down to it, it can go to hell. It's not Suspiria. Be brave. But The Boys is
great.
A gift that has sustained me, and I'll forgive a lot for it.
Tomorrow War is pretty good.
Was it pretty good?
It's like a good 90s action movie.
And I want to say there was one other thing that I would put as high as The Boys on my meter, and I'm not coming up with it right now.
Invincible was very, very good.
Thank you. I like the fact that the Borat thing happened, even though I didn't particularly care for it.
I didn't watch it, though, yeah.
I myself, an admission if I haven't made it before, Paul, I suppose is as good a time as any to speak of it. A truth of Keith Charles Field is the fact that I really despise comedies. I could go my whole life without seeing a comedian watching a comedy or being told jokes to. I am not a humorman.
You made fun of me for not liking ghost movies, and you just come out and say you don't like comedies.
Well, Paul, it's as good a time as any to stand up and be counted for. We are all human.
So I'm assuming you don't like the...
There are exceptions to every rule. I will say I enjoy anti-comedy, if you enjoy that as a term. The idea of the weird alternate comedy of, say, a Tim and Eric, that when viewed through a different lens is mind-numbing horror. Or just confusing babble to some. I'll eat that up all day long. But please don't ask me to ever tell you there's anything of worth in anything Adam Sandler ever touched.
Oh,
man. Because, no, I'm going to go ahead and smile at you all, give a knowing nod, and say, not only am I not going to do that, I'm not even going to pretend I like Happy Gilmore anymore. I don't know. Billy Madison, I'd rather not, thank you. You know what I'd rather do? Have some toast and take a nap. That's right, Paul.
You're
I like those two things better than any Adam Sandler film.
Your pretentious meter is like going off the like,
well,
you know.
Speaker of truths, Paul.
The next thing you're gonna say is that you love Black Adler or whatever, and
oh God, British you know what?
British comedies.
You know what?
Don't even.
I think the whole meter of our program has changed. Suddenly we're learning about learning about Keith night. I despise British comedy.
Oh, good. Okay.
And
So you're not
you know what?
So you're not a serial
Let's call
killer.
it Keith Makes Enemies night. I could think of no worse use of my time than ever pretending ever again that I take anything from the works of the organization that is collectively or even loosely referred to as Monty Python.
No, I get that. I understand. I know what you're saying.
I will take that holy grail
Listen,
with all punish, shade
watch,
intended, and launch it straight into that mother effing sun.
I can watch movies, but I've tried watching the shows from here and there. It is like I feel like my eyes are bleeding, and you know.
Yes,
my
I'm not
brain
going to
is
sit
trying
here and never pretend. And here's where this is where I was leading to make some enemies.
Right.
So, unlike many of you, I do not use the blanketed acceptance of that which comes from the land of the mad mod to inform even like the modern creatives, like, oh, I don't know, an Edgar Wright sort.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you something. There's a little movie that I think gets a lot, way too much love, and that movie. It might be called Baby Driver.
No one's gonna fight you on that. If you had said Shaun, if you said Shaun of the Dead,
Shaun of the Dead is acceptably fine.
Well, because
no, I'm just being silly. Shaun of the Dead is actually a lot of fun.
Well, Edgar Wright's not making. I mean, like,
and I will say as well that what you call it there, the what was it, the thing with the bar crawl with the aliens?
Attack the Block?
No, his movie
with the aliens. He did hot. Oh my God! What is the one with the cops? Hot Fuzz.
Oh, Hot Fuzz is fine.
Hot Fuzz,
because it's the farthest off his intent. He makes his weird statement on folk horror, and it winds up being really neat.
Right.
You know, it's not a cop movie at all. So
right.
So whatever that was supposed to be, it failed tremendously.
Well, I would argue, and this is where I make enemies. Is
The World's End. At the World's End.
Oh, at the World's End, yes.
Yeah,
that's right.
It's garbage.
Yeah, I didn't like that one either. But I think things like Shaun of the Dead or like or Ghostbusters.
And of course, Scott Pilgrim.
I love Scott Pilgrim.
Scott Pilgrim succeeded.
Yeah, but they're not comedies. They're adventure movies. Like like comedies. I think it's much easier now to break it down.
Oh, no, there was a segue, I suppose. Yeah. It was just to attack that movie because I was going to then give a bit of an anecdote about it.
Comedies, you don't like the
But if we were going back to the comedies,
Jim Carrey, Adam Sandler.
Oh no, I'd rather die.
Wow. So again,
stink.
So you're pretentious.
I've seen, but here's the thing, people. Because I am such a man of the people, because I'm in fact not pretentious. If I've ever been with a group of people and they bring up they want to go see one of those steaming piles of nothing, I've gone and seen every single one with good faith. I don't fight.
Hoping
I don't squirm.
This is the movie.
Maybe this will be the one that justifies it because I am a friend first to my fellow man. And then a friend to the only thing in that card that I truly love, the concept of film. Far more so, that I will endure the garbage to get through in the name of my sweet fellow man.
I'm surprised. Have you seen Waterboy?
Wait. Because
I feel like
the devil made electricity, mama.
Because it's but have you not read this online?
No, I'd rather die.
It's one of the most messed up comedies ever made.
I understand.
Story-wise, it's screwed up.
Paul, there's a movie called Freddy Got Fingered about a survivor of child abuse. That is hilarious to me in concept. I don't want to watch the movie.
No, it's not a good movie.
So the thing that's hilarious to me is, dude, here's my pitch for a movie. And then you sum it up in those terms. Freddy Got Fingered, I'd laugh, we'd move on. That is the level of comedy I find acceptable. Short bites. Small. Yep. Prepared concepts.
So your
taglines of humor.
Your pretentious meter is like the fucking.
It's the very absence of pretension.
No, that you're the definition.
Suggesting all of humor should be taken, boiled down to a pill, And it can just stimulate that part of the mind. It's my new drug. I call it Jester. And one day it'll make Scarface a lot of money.
That is the definition.
Scarface 2079. He's a cyborg head.
That is the definition.
On the new ventriloquist shoulder.
It's the definition of pretentiousness.
I think we have a very different definition of pretension.
No, you're
The removal of false dialogue, the removal of false intention. Those are pretensions, Sarah.
Yeah, you're
I've
basically
come to the very core of the thing.
You're basically destroying
I have
comedy.
deconstructed humor.
Yeah, that is pretension.
To a pill.
Pretentiousness.
It's just the experience. It's just the art. I dare say there is a submerged... Wait a minute. As I just was about to say the words, there is a submerged art in all humor that will defy your pretension, and then I realized there's no non-pretentious way to say those words.
Yes. Yeah. There are many...
Wow. You win this round, He-Man, but I'll be back. I am not conceding final defeat. I slip away to Snake Mountain to plot anew.
Oh, God. But you like Simpsons, though. You think the animated stuff.
I do.
Yeah, it's the...
Yes, I do.
Yeah. And that's...
It's the sum of its parts. If anything is the sum of its parts. And that's why I was worried as we began to segue, because I just randomly thrown some shade at Edgar Wright. I was going to make another point. It's lost to me now. Thanks, Paul.
You're welcome.
But, back on the subject of comedy... there are exceptions to all things. I despise Monty Python, but Terry Gilliam as an artist and a creator is very important to me. His movies of varying quality. I was just having this conversation with a workmate the other day. I'd say I really enjoyed only 2 of his movies. The rest are garbage, but they're beautiful art garbage.
What are the 2 movies like?
Of his?
Yeah.
The Fisher King and the Time Bandits. That they are the most composed true films. The rest are just noise.
I mean, I'm not going to argue with... Yeah, I mean, Brazil is annoying.
It's not a movie.
Yeah.
It's an art project. It's an art installation.
I'll give you that.
But it's not a movie.
Yeah, that needed someone to be a grown-up in the room.
And make no mistake, the pretentious people, they'll be calling for my head right now. You know,
Right.
for saying that. The movie people who would... And this guy says he's a movie person, I'll kill him. That's where we can open that dialogue, of course, is no, it doesn't follow the rules of a movie. It's just art. It's a living art piece. Yeah. It's in its it's not in its proper lane. And that's what I'll suggest for most of Mr. Gilliam's ideas. But then others are just bad movies. The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus is beautiful, but it's just a bad movie. I would say it fails as both film and art.
I've never seen that one. That's the Heath Ledger movie?
And it doesn't fail because of the Heath Ledger situation.
No, I didn't say that. I'm just saying it's the Heath Ledger movie.
No, but I should point out it does not fail. Okay. If anything, I think one of the stronger elements. For those who don't know, Heath was making it. Heath died. And his role was then covered by a variety of others, quote, friends. And I think the movie is made much stronger as a result.
Okay.
You would go so far as to suggest, if you were of the right mindset, perhaps there's some sort of magical meta-narrative going on that only exists because of the passing that is the strongest part of the film.
Okay.
That's the Keith one to grow on. But that all having been said, yeah, those are the only 2 that I would call fully composed successful films. The rest, varying degrees of art are achieved in a series of failed movies.
So then we agree that I don't like comedic or campy superhero stuff.
That's why I let you have it.
Yeah, I feel like that's...
It breaks my heart. That's why you'll hear me say things like, you break my heart, Paul.
And Deadpool...
But I understand it.
Yeah, and Deadpool doesn't count. And I'm going to explain, because Deadpool is crazy. That's the point of and even his movies don't break the logic. There's still... Cable Deadpool is close to being too campy. Or Cable 2... Or Deadpool 2.
Deadpool works because his adventures are happening in the continuity he exists within without apology.
Right.
Characters like Squirrel Girl or Harley Quinn can never truly achieve full independent status as ideas because they are so reliant upon the other givens of their continuum. They can't exist apart from it.
Yeah.
You know, they without even getting into the direct there, unless they are playing into the full reality of their continuum. So Harley Quinn can't be fighting a giant pizza in outer space and then be expected to be carrying on a crime with the Joker. You know,
Correct.
So you have to establish that perhaps her adventures take place in an alternate continuum, such as in her own mind.
Right. Well, it's why the Harley Quinn show on HBO Max is so everyone is ridiculously off-brand, so that because that's for some reason, and I like that cartoon show.
Very much so.
I like Harley
And I like a lot of her books.
Harley Quinn's best stuff is still from the animated series, where she's taken seriously. One of the best episodes is
Mad Love.
No, you're right, and not Harley's Day Out. The one where she teams up with Batman. And Harley Quinn is it Harley Quinn? No, is it
Harley's Day Out or Harley Quinn?
Harley Quinn, yeah.
Harley Quinn.
Because it's so well written where she's teaming up with Batman and Robin. There's a lot of innuendo. There's a lot of funny Joker Harley humor.
It's in Batman's world.
That sequence, and again, this is why I miss good cartoon shows. That sequence when she's leaving with Joker. Joker has stolen an atomic bomb. Batman has teamed up with Harley Quinn to try to stop him from, detonating it. And Harley betrays Batman and Robin, and they're leaving the governor's mansion is where the atomic bomb is. And they're leaving, and there's a great written sequence of Robin is basically trying to tell Harley, hey, he didn't have enough time to come get you at Arkham. And, everybody else is going to live and die. And then Mark Hamill does the best, shut up, boy. It was one of the funniest. And Harley, and even though Harley is crazy and funny, you still have the threat of an atomic bomb going off. Whereas I'll use Squirrel Girl or even the Harley Quinn cartoon show on HBO Max, there's no stakes.
Correct.
There's oh no, Swamp Thing's going to kill us, and then he doesn't.
Right. And that's not to say that it isn't great.
Right.
And I'm not suggesting that you shouldn't watch it, because you should. That thing on HBO is dynamite. It's been up and down this season, but let's not go there. I love that animated Joker more than I can possibly say.
Yeah, that's very.
And we were recently having this conversation with a friend of the podcast, our chum Matt, that Harley's slightly less than tangible adventures become a lot cooler if you consider, what if these are all just taking place in her head while she's in a straitjacket in Arkham?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, I know it never got resolved at DC, but now that we're 10 years removed from it, really, the Harley Quinn ongoing from New 52 till the Jimmy Palmiotti, Amanda Conner run in no way syncs up with Suicide Squad or her appearances in Batman and Detective. I mean, there is no way for that series to sync up.
There was one plaintive effort made early on in that Suicide Squad run to establish a, quote, room of failed Harleys.
But that was so deep into the run.
But it was so deep in the cut, and there was no attention paid to it.
No.
And it was in a less than successful run of the book that is gone largely ignored. So it was just dusted.
You remember who wrote that?
But yeah, I don't, and given the fact that I've said nothing pleasant about it, maybe it's best.
Oh yeah, no, but I know that that's the thing. Harley, her current ongoing is kind of the same. Is kind of the same thing. I almost spilled this glass. It's the same. It doesn't really sync up with her Batman. When she was in Batman, James Tynion's Batman. That Harley does not sync up with the ongoing. There's no way she syncs up.
Correct.
So it's one of these things I'm hoping out of Dark Crisis. They, which I did read issue 4.
Oh, yes. Now, you had mentioned that. Now, this is New Comic Book Day.
Yeah.
Eve, for the whole Megillah, I, of course, only work weekends at the operation. That's when I pick up my books. Paul, you must tease me without spoilers. Paul, tell me that my Doom, Legion of Doom pariah fight is everything I hope it is.
So there's an actual cliffhanger ending. Nah, kind of. There's a better cliffhanger ending in issue 4.
Neat.
It's
because I was very happy with the last ending.
Yeah,
Legion of Doom prepared to save the multiverse.
Yeah, there's not
the machinations of Pariah. There's Dark Master.
There's not a lot of Legion of Doom stuff. There's more. There's just more Green Lantern stuff, which I
that's good world building.
There's a lot of Green Lantern stuff.
Good.
And more. I don't want to say the Nightwing introspective navel gazing is still happening, which I'm kind of over at this point. It's
but the pursuit of that villain army and all of that.
Yeah, it's just Black Adam kind of rallying the troops of the Legion of Doom. But
good.
They're a bunch of villains, they're not heroes, so there's internal conflicts.
I dig. I look forward to it.
But they have not fought. This is a minor spoiler. They do not really engage Pariah.
All right, so it's a gathering of forces. Yeah. So I can deal with a gathering of forces.
And then the last page is at least something. interesting happened. So we'll see.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Because that was my point. The last issue was more of a downbeat issue, so I definitely don't want to see this thing losing any of its momentum.
Yeah. And I have to say, while the writing is very good, the art is excellent.
Oh, cool.
Like the artist, I'm not gonna remember. I don't remember. I can't pronounce his name correctly, so I'm not gonna butcher it. But he is amazing.
Nice.
And I think he should get way more work. In the
An
future.
endorsement, my friend,
Yeah.
worth having.
Yeah, it's
Even if we do pause on your name.
Yeah, sorry. I think it's Daniel Samney. It's definitely Daniel S.
Take that for now.
Yeah.
Asterisk. We will attach the asterisk to your proper name next time.
If it makes you feel any better, when I was in England, I was called Paul Santosh. And had no idea that was a thing.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Santosh apologizes in advance.
I'm pretty sure Portugal and England are like less than 1,000 miles apart, so I don't know.
Now, Paul, anything else on the DC hopper for Baby Keith these days? So that I've been picking up came out this week. Let's see. Harley's been coming out every 4 minutes.
Yeah, there's no Harley.
So Harley is done. That's
week.
good. Flash.
No Flash.
Flash annual last week, very good. This is my short list of books you should be reading every week.
You're not reading Batman, huh? Or are you?
I'm indeed reading Batman.
So Batman came out. I didn't read it this week, but Batman came out.
I suppose the question is what you've read.
I only read Dark Crisis.
Oh, well, that's more than enough.
That's the first thing I read.
Not much danger of spoilers then. I would say of my batch of books last week, it was mostly annuals. So the Flash annual left me wanting an actual Flash story. But I thought, we're into this thing for a while now, and I'm at the shop. A lot of people have been talking about the podcast, and folks have been saying, hey, you should give us some of your suggestions on things to read. And I said, Paul, that is something we should do. So while it didn't come out this week, let this be the birth of a topic that I think we can now afford to hit. Paul, with accompanying music maestro, I think we've come to the portion of the program before we bid our adieus that we should propose our book of a given week.
Oh.
So while we're passing last week,
right?
We're coming at this a little slow. I think informing the previous week makes some sense to me.
Well, last week sucked. It was a light week.
We'll make this week Dark Crisis our choice.
Yeah, I think Dark Crisis 4. I liked it a lot.
But from last week's in the Curious Crowd, Keith will give a shout out, of course, to the Marvel Fortnite crossover, the Zero event, which continues to unfold. You can God all you want. But the faithful and I continue to struggle against the imagined order. And their cat's paw, Victor Von Doom.
When are we launching that streaming channel with you just playing Fortnite?
Again, Keith Humility Field does not purport anything other than to be an enthusiast. So I direct everyone's attention to that. Perhaps one of the finest books Marvel is putting out these days. And I don't say that ironically.
No, you know what? Well, this is the newest issue didn't come out last week, but Axe has been pretty good. Avengers, X-Men, Eternals.
Ladies and gentlemen, an endorsement from Paul. Axe.
Have you read it?
I am a fan of Axe, actually.
Yeah.
It's everything I want out of a crossover series. I'm a big Eternals fan, as we've established, and it has maintained the momentum of the awesome series.
Yeah, I think it's very...
There's enough...
It's not... I thought it was going to be a three-way fight with Avengers, X-Men, Eternals, and it's not. And
Having it
I'm
be
very
that they're
happy.
all either... They're all shades on one of two sides.
Yeah.
Is very satisfying.
And there's definitely more on the heroic, quote-unquote side.
We're fighting shared villains.
Yeah, I'm way for it. It's cool. I like it.
It's an actual event. Whatever it's... Because there was some talk that initially it was not going to be a line-wide event. And that they evolved it.
But that's because of Dark Crisis.
It was
100% because of Dark Crisis.
Whatever the timing of the ratcheting may have come from, I'm glad it did, because it turned it into something much better. This is a worthwhile crossover style event.
Yeah, and I think it's gearing up. It's not gearing up. It's like halfway over, but it's very good.
I enjoy the X-Men element of it a lot, and there's been a lot of talk with customers either way, and with folks online either way. But as much of a puzzling quandary some elements of the Moira heel turn remain, the fact that you have her front and center, you have different X elements front and center, more so than having like that terrible alien invasion shoehorned into the X-Men. You definitely have that nice even pull and that sense of earned plot beats.
Yeah, I agree.
So, thumbs up. Yeah, I'm a big fan of X as well, but I still point to my beloved Fortnite as the book you should all be reading.
Oh, God.
And then DC-wise, I'm a big fan of Dark Crisis, but the Young Justice Dark Crisis tie-in makes me very happy. Even though the story beat has been progressively more subdued as we're working toward a reveal that has already been spoiled way too far in advance by solicitations, I still remain very happy to see my Young Justice front and center.
Oh, Flashpoint came
a
out.
book.
Flashpoint came out today. I didn't read it.
Well, that being the case, I would almost in advance pick that as my book of the week because I've been loving me the Flashpoint.
Yeah, I've not read it yet.
Which is our gateway to the very exciting news of the return of the Justice Society.
3 titles, baby.
I cannot wait. Those solicitations are loud and proud. I cannot wait to get my hands on them. And it has something to do with wherever Flashpoint Beyond leaves us. I have a theory. Paul does not agree. I believe that the JSA will be, quote-unquote, getting the Flashpoint Earth as their Earth. Something that was established back in the Silver Age was that the JSA had its own Earth. That was Earth 2. Given the fact that Earth 2 has been used in a few different weirdo capacities since the New 52, including being blown up, but we can certainly argue after any one of the Crisis events it was recreated. Given the fact that Johns has chosen to play into history he had no plan in playing rather than apart from it, I think he wants the actual chunk of real estate that is the Flashpoint Earth to matter. I think one of the ways you make it matter is to give it as this is where the JSA live.
You might be getting that based on the end of Dark Crisis 4, so we'll see.
So
But but it also plays into my...
I will point out that I did not read that book as of saying that, so if it winds up being a spoiler, my apologies in advance.
Well, it's not. It's not really.
Okay, good.
It's one of these things where, like, I don't know if I believe the end of Dark Crisis 4 because it's issue 4, not issue 7. But
and to put on spoilers, put on the spoiler hat a little more. Part of the storyline element that has been manifested throughout Dark Crisis, if you haven't read it yet, I'm speaking to it, is that the Justice League were killed at the onset of the event, and we've learned since then killed isn't entirely accurate. They seem to be sealed inside of some sort of construct worlds that manifest different parts of their person or personality.
Yeah, and
so I'm assuming it plays more to that. Don't tell me, because I don't want that spoiled for me.
No. I mean, I think it's more of like, I don't want to be like, hurry up and yet this event is good, but it's definitely not like Infinite. Remember when Infinite Crisis came out? Mm-hmm. And you're like, oh my God, I don't know what's happening every issue, but I love it.
Can't wait to see where this is going.
This is just like a hurry up and end, so we could get to like a finished
We want to get to the
universe.
new starting point.
Yeah, that's what's happening.
I need a colonic.
Yeah. And so for anybody who doesn't know comics, you know what's coming up 3 months in advance. So we know...
those are those solicitations I was talking about.
Yes, we know September, October, November. So December will be issue 7 of Dark Crisis. So we're very close to January solicitations, which is what everybody's kind of like hoping for and waiting to see what happens.
For these announcements.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but regardless, ahead of that, I am happy for now with the fact that we're getting JSA books. We're getting Stargirl, the fondly remembered franchise.
Yeah, we're getting JSA, Stargirl, and the Golden Age, which is going to take place in the Golden Age, which I was saying that should have been 20 years ago. We should have had that book.
Indeed. So these are things that have been missing literally for over a decade. It's wonderful to have an embarrassment of riches like that.
Great.
And for someone who might care, Wildcats returns.
Yeah, with Matthew Rosenberg and
another artist who will be owed another apology by our sweet Paulito. I think that's appropriate.
Yes. Sejic. It's Stefan Sejic. Yeah.
So there you go. Yeah. So for this week's What We're Reading, a whole lot of suggestions. Be there, be square. True believer.
So ends another episode of Infinite Geek Talk. Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to find the Rat's Nest Studios on Facebook for news, updates, and to keep the conversation going. And don't forget to rate and review the show to help spread the word. Infinite Geek Talk is brought to you by Infinite Heroes Comics, Cards, and Collectibles in Watertown, Connecticut. Infinite Geek Talk is a Rat's Nest production, recorded and engineered by Rich Johnson in the Rat's Nest Studio.
It's terrifying and beautiful.